Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Thursday, December 7th, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions and maybe make your life a little less complicated. Why do we do that? We do tend to overcomplicate our lives so much. And you may be the kind of person, just because you're the type of person who listens to this show, you could be the type of person who does a ton of analysis but cannot pull the trigger on something, on a decision. And I know that that is a lot of the listening audience, that, you know, you're really smart, you got your spreadsheet, but you just can't do it. If that's you, let us help you. We are very good at making decisions, especially for other people, actually, even for ourselves. Both Mark and I tend to pull the trigger very quickly once we do the analysis. So either you've got a little analysis paralysis, or maybe you haven't even done the analysis, or maybe you're overwhelmed, whatever the case may be. Go to our website, jillonmoney.com, jillonmoney.com. Click the Contact Us button and let us know if you would be willing to come on the air. While you are on the website, there are all sorts of great pieces of information. There's resources, there's links to my book, there's the free weekly newsletter, and of course, our subscription service, Jill on Money Live, where last night we just held our most recent webinar. Even if you weren't able to join the webinar live, if you are a member of the Jill on Money Live community, you have access to it. You get to go look at the whole back catalog. So that's totally cool. $35, at least until the end of the year. And Mark's going to jam you up on the price. Probably going to go to $35 and maybe 35 cents. I don't know. It's his. He runs that part of the business, not me. So he will be making that decision, and I will have him on defending it. All right. Today, we are talking to John, who's on the line from the Southeast. Hello, John. How are you? What can we do for you?
I'm doing great, Jill and Mark. Thank you so much for having me on. I wanted to talk to you about my mom, and she went through a rather major life transition when my father passed away about 3 years ago. And my father really was responsible for all things, financial in her life. So over the last 3 years, I've been side by side with her, trying to, help her. And I think we've done a great job getting her situated and dealing with all the things that comes after somebody passes, with life insurance, et cetera. We got all those funds centralized in one account with a large brokerage firm. And as many people have experienced recently, of course, the balance is dwindling. But as I look at the statements, I do see a fee of about $400 per month. It's
hold on. $400 a month or a quarter?
It looks like about $400 a month. It looks like, which is on the balance about 1% is what I'm seeing.
Okay, so she has $400,000 in there.
Yeah, it started at around 600. She's back now at around 500, and she dipped below 500 at one point. And she's drawing every month about 2,000 from it. But what I'm seeing is, of course, the fee there, and the fee makes up about, a quarter of her drawdown. And, having listened to your podcast a fair bit, I was trying to suggest that maybe she could do this on her own, because this large brokerage firm really doesn't do much. That the administrative assistant calls her, every 6 months and asks a couple questions, and that's about it in terms of the interaction, really. She's overwhelmed and concerned, but so I wanted to seek your and Mark's guidance as to whether we could, make a switch, how we could do it. The allocation's really interesting too. There's some bank stocks in there that she's owned for 30 years. So I'm guessing the capital gains, that's about a third of the portfolio, will be substantial. So anyway, she has some pension funds as well as this, but I want to make sure obviously this lasts her, appropriately and can maintain that drawdown. And at $2,000 a month, it should be staying flat, and it's falling. And of course, that's concerning for her and me. So just wanted to reach out and see what you thought.
How old is your mom?
She's 79.
So she's still pretty young, and she's healthy. Life's good for her. She feel okay?
Yeah, she's incredibly healthy. She had a very recent broken patella that we're working through right now. But I expect her to be back on her feet in no time.
So right now, the source of her income is Social Security. And did you say she also receives a pension?
Yeah, she has two small pensions. They total $2,900 a month.
And what about Social Security? How much is that?
Social Security is small, $775, and that's because it was my father's. Obviously, it split when he passed, and then also he spent a lot of his career in another country.
Oh, okay. So she's got this. Let's call it $3,700 a month, plus this $2,000 a month from the brokerage account. Is there any other money that she has? Does she have money in the bank? Is there money in a retirement account? What else do you have out there?
Not really. She has two paid off pieces of real estate that are, she's using both. But I think ultimately her belief is that she would unload one for the money and two for just, simplicity in life as she gets older.
How much are those worth, each of those? One she lives in, right?
Yeah, probably, I would say 700 for one and 600 for the other.
Is one like a vacation home and one is a primary? Is that how it's kind of classified, or is one rental property?
No renting. I would say it's vacation.
She needs this extra $2,000 a month. Why? Like she's got $3,675 a month, and she really needs this extra money. Why? Because of the upkeep of two homes. Does she still spend? Does she belong to a club? Like, give me a little bit of paint the picture of mom's life.
Yeah, prior to the patella incident, she was a very avid, sports person and belonged to a club and still does, and then HOA and everything else. I mean, she could probably shave off some of that 2,000, but there's a portion that's needed from that brokerage account for sure.
Mm-hmm. What if you said to her, like, Mom, how do you feel about selling whatever, the $600,000 place? Would she be like, no way, you're on drugs. You're not doing that, honey?
No, I think she's prepared for that, but I think she's overwhelmed because of, what would have to be moved and how would I do it? And, I've kind of reassured her that we can handle all that. But I'm also sort of, as her son, saying, let's not rush into it. I mean, you're still finding enjoyment in it. Like, you don't need to do that right now.
Do you have siblings, John?
I do. I have two.
And they're not involved with managing this with her because you're nearby, or just because you're the one who has money and time, you can do it?
A little bit of both. Yeah, one is not close, and the other one is just not as aware. Doesn't work financial space much.
I got it. Okay. I mean, first of all, there's a few different things that strike me on this. The anxiety that you're feeling about the account moving up and down, it's a little bit of the, you live and die by the stock's performance, right? It's just unfortunate, but that's where you are. If she's selling some and paying some capital gains along the way, it's not the worst thing in the world, right? She's in the 15% capital gains bracket, and she doesn't have a mortgage on the $700,000 or the $600,000 property. So, she's got expenses that are real, and then she's got a pretty low tax liability, and all this is fine. It's very normal. The one thing that just pops out to me, until you told me she had a second home, I almost was going to say to you, you're going to blow through this account. You're going to run out of money, because she's pulling out at about a 5% withdrawal rate. That's just too much. It's like you're pulling too much out of the account every month. But now that I know she actually has $600,000 somewhere, it's locked up in real estate right now, I'm a little less concerned about that. So when I think about your situation, I think that that mom is like, okay, I live in a $700,000 place. I've got this great thing. If I didn't have the $600,000 house or other home, I would have, let's just call it about $1 million. She'll have to pay some money to get out. She'll pay some capital gains maybe or not, but she'll have $1 million as invested, right?
Right.
And of that $1 million, she'll need to pull out $2,000 a month, which would be fine. She could pull $3,000 a month out on $1 million. Then she's going to be in great shape. The thing is that because she has this illiquid asset, this second home that's not creating income for her, and it's not growing, and it's not a base from which you can draw, even if it doesn't do very well from one year to the next, but that actually is an issue for her, right now. So I'm not averse to you pulling more money out of this brokerage account right now. My concern is that the house, that second home, we have to get liquid with that at some point. Because I'm thinking like mom's going to live for 10 or, maybe she lived for 10 or 15 more years. If she lives for 10 or 15 more years, you will blow out of that brokerage account. And I'd hate for you to be forced to sell the second property, not just like the wrong time market wise, but the wrong time for her. The time to do it is when somebody is like, yes, I'm aware. Of course it's overwhelming, but I can be in charge of the process. And I presume that her estate is such that it's equally divided among the 3 siblings, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. What I think is your initial question is, could I move the account? Of course you can move the account. Then you have to manage it though. Someone's got to manage it, right? Because 1% is not a big number for a $500,000 account. It's actually a pretty good deal because to get actual financial advice or someone who's managing the tax process of selling something off, that actually is a decent price. But if you're not happy with the person and you, John, are willing to take it over and you feel comfortable with it, here's how I would manage that money. I would take that brokerage account and I would say, okay, I'm going to move it into do you do business anywhere? Do you have like a Fidelity account or a Schwab account yourself, John?
Yes, Fidelity.
So I would say, okay, I'm going to move this into a Fidelity brokerage account. And then immediately what I would be doing is making sure that I have 2 years of her expenses in cash. Right now you have 17,000. I would have honestly, I'd probably have like 40 grand in cash, and it would be in a high yielding money market account at Fidelity. And that's what you would use to pay for her expenses out of that cash account. She doesn't have to sell anything right now. She can just kind of chill out a little bit. And then we know that the money is there for her. Now you can manage the money in a more methodical way. You can say, well, let me look at this account. There is a gain in this stock that we've owned for 30 years, but there's a loss over here. Let's make sure we sell something at a loss, and then we'll sell some of the stock for a gain. And now we'll have a little extra cash, and we can either reinvest it and replenish her, or we can make her allocation seem a little bit more reasonable. Now, do you feel like that is something you, John, want to take on right now?
Not really, to be honest, but okay. I really appreciate your comments and suggestions because I wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing. The reason I don't want to take it on is if something doesn't work out, I don't want to be, responsible, whether it's
totally agree. Like you, the last thing you need is you're doing all the work and your siblings say oh, you screwed it up, John. Thanks. And that's not good. So what I would do is I would talk to the broker. Do you have rights on this account? Are you, in other words, has your mom granted you the right to talk to the broker on her behalf?
Yeah, I definitely join her for a couple calls so far over the last 3-4 years. I don't know if formally I, have permission, but he certainly knows me and knows that I'm going to be, asking questions and whatnot on her behalf.
Okay, so what I'd like her to do is to formally make that happen. I want her to give you, have written permission so that she says, you, broker Joe, can talk to my son, John. And I want that to be something that is possible. And is her estate planning done? Is this account an account that has been managed through the estate process where is it in her name? Has she done all that extra work that you have to do after someone dies?
Yes. Yeah. She just did it. She just wrapped up about 6 months ago.
Okay, great. I mean, not great, but I mean, that's important. So what I think you should do is have a conversation with him and say, are we taking all the losses in the account against the gains in this one stock? That's number one. And what I think I would feel more comfortable doing is to say, I think we need a little bit more cash in the account because we want to have some cash available. Now, you don't have to keep it all there. Does she have a bank account?
She does. Yep.
How much is in the bank?
I would say 40,000 total.
Okay. So, maybe what you say to him is what we'd like is, we have 30 or 40 in the bank. That's emergency. We'd really like this account to be more like 25 at all times so that she has 1 year of her expenses in cash, right? That's what we really want to happen. And how often is he making the trades to free up money for her?
It appears to me quarterly based on the statements.
I would do it once. I would do it once a year and stop screwing around with that. I would not make that trading happen. I just don't think that's worth it. I think that what I would do is say to him, look, it's the end of the year. So what we want you to do is free up enough money to have $25,000, in cash for mom for 2024. And then let's do it in 6 months. Do it again. You don't want to create tax liability if we don't have to, right? And I think that he's got to be a little bit more, and maybe he is doing this, but like we want to make sure that there is a real tax neutral pose to this, that we try to take as many, or if there are losses for some reason, if there were, maybe she invested in fixed income at the wrong time because of that, but take the loss, replenish the cash. And then I think you need to have a real conversation with mom, which is, Mom, are you worried? I don't know if she's worried or not, but I think you can say, I'm a little concerned that, just because of the market movements and the amount of money you need, that we have to be prepared in the next 2 years to really think about selling the house. And I really would like to do that when you are 100% aware and ready to make this decision with us, not when we have to do it and you're not able to do that. So can we give her like a 2 or 3 year runway? And I think that makes a lot of sense. When she's ready to sell it, then you and I should talk again when she's ready to sell the second home, because that $1 million, you may not want to send the money to this person. You may want to shop for a new relationship after that. But let's see where you stand. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, Jill.
All right, John, go take care of your mom. You're a good man. That's a very nice thing that you've been doing. So congratulations for being a good guy, and congratulations to your mother for being such a good mom. Thanks for joining us. And by the way, if you are trying to help your aging parents with their situations, we'd love to help you. I do this every day with my own mother. She literally calls me every day with some question. And the only way I refrain from biting her head off is just saying, pretend she's somebody who's on the show, and then you'll be nice to her. And that's what I've really been able to do, as opposed to saying, can't you do this yourself? Because the answer is she can't, and she really needs me to help her. And your mom and your dad might need you to help them. So if that's you, give us a shout. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Let us know if you'd be willing to come on the air just like John. And don't forget to do something nice for someone else today. Maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's a sibling. Who knows? Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.